Skills are how you stop explaining yourself to AI, get consistency in your outputs, and scale and leverage AI across your teams. What a skill is a folder of instructions for AI to follow. So in this example, use example skill folder, and that has several parts to it. The first is the SKILL.md, and this is the only required part of the folder. And what this does is it tells the AI when to use the skill and like what to actually do with the subcomponents of the folder and the skill. And what we mean by that is like when to use it. It'll have a brief description of how it works. So if like you have a skill that rearranges things on your desktop, it'll say like if the user says clean up desktop, then invoke the skill. There's also other ways you can invoke a skill by using like a custom / command. We'll go over that later. And then the second part of the SKILL.md is the markdown body. And those are the actual instructions for the AI to follow. And what that means is like this is only loaded when the AI fires the skill. So if you do the reorganize desktop skill or clean up your desktop skill, what's going to happen is the AI will look at the brief description at the top, that YAML front matter, and it'll look at that and be like, should I use a skill? Okay, yes, that makes sense. That lines up with what we're supposed to do. And then it goes and looks at the body, and these are the actual instructions that it should follow. So if you want it to use a skill, it'll then go decide if it should use it. Okay, it uses it. Then it goes and looks at the instructions and goes line by line through that. And it's like, first, go look at what's on the desktop. Second, make sure it should be, whether it's like important or not, whether it can be deleted. And then it'll start going down those steps in succession. So that is the SKILL.md. Another part of a skill that you can have AI create for you are like a scripts folder. What that basically means is like if you want your AI to run code for you, like let's say you want a skill that goes and looks at your daily sales and goes and pulls those numbers and brings them back. What you'll need to actually go pull those numbers is like either Python code or some kind of code to act as like a data pipeline. And you can embed in your skill those kinds like Python code. So let's say you want to go pull sales. Step one can be like your AI goes and looks, is it a new day? If it is, okay, cool. Let's go run the pull sales.python file. And what it'll do is it'll run that, go get the data, ingest that, and then it can use it for your like data update, data dashboard, stuff like that. So another part of these folders can be the references folder, the subfolder. And this is cool because this gives your AI some contextual knowledge. And this is where these like tools and these skills get very powerful, is you can take tribal knowledge out of someone that like works for you. Like if it's Karen in accounting and she knows how to do this one thing, if you can just get those instructions out of her that no one else knows, you can codify them in a skill and give it to the AI to run. So if Karen knows she does these 8 things in a row after she pulls sales, you can codify that in the skill and have your AI just follow those instructions. So it can either be like references, like things it should do in a certain order, or it can be an explanation of how like your data is structured. So it knows, okay, column A is this, column B is this, column C is this. This is how I should think about them. So those references, like imagine you're handing them to like a new intern. Now all of a sudden the intern knows what to do and how to do it. And that's what like references do. And after that, you can have an assets folder, which is pretty cool. And what this means, like, let's say after you run your pull sales Python file, it understands how to read the data because like the references are already laid out and knows the schema of the data. You can then have it export it as like a preset template. Like let's say you have your data reports in a preset specific way every single week. The AI can then use that template. Like if you give it the template, it can use it, take it, put the numbers and data on there, and then it can like slap a company logo on there, which is the example we have here. But it can be coached to know how to pull the data, run the code to pull the data, and then know how to format the actual output, which is pretty cool. So skills are incredibly powerful because they allow you to like make a repeatable process out of like tribal knowledge, people that are like subject matter experts in areas. So these are really cool and really powerful, and they can do a lot of things for you. And I've used one at work where I have it, I make these dashboards a lot, and I made this skill where it goes and automatically deletes the things that look like it was AI generated. So when AI generates reports, likes to do it in a very kind of set way where it has like all these hero cards and these colors, and it's really like kind of loud and aggressive. And I made a skill where it automatically goes and scans those things and then removes them for me. So super powerful and can do a lot of different things for you. Okay, that was the anatomy of a skill. We're now going to go over how AI decides when to fire a skill. There's 2 ways you can do this. So first, like let's say I'm using Claude and I say I want to check the sales this week or do something else. Like if I say pull the latest sales numbers and build me a KPI report, it's going to go and look at what skills it has preloaded into like its like knowledge base or like what's built into it. And it's going to then reference like, do any of the things that Logan just said match any of the skills we have? So yeah, KPI, sales data. So the KPI dashboard one would match that. So it would go look at the skills it has available, and then it would decide if it makes sense to fire the skill and then start executing for you. So only after it matches those two things, like KPI and sales, and determines that that's a skill it should use, it will then go and start reading instructions and rolling through the references and the scripts and stuff like that, like we were just talking about. So it's pretty cool, pretty powerful. And that's how AI can know how to do it itself. Also, if you just want to run it yourself, what you can do, if you created a skill on your computer, if you do a /, it'll bring up the skills that you have already built into your agent. So the AI slop auto is the one I was talking about. It goes and runs through outputs and decides if things should be removed or not. Okay, so that was what a skill is, how to invoke it, or how to understand how AI then fires it itself. Now let's actually build one ourselves. So we're going to do something, I don't know, relatively easy and simple here. We'll bump back to Fable. Fable's kind of fun, and it's included in subscription plans now, starting the 20th. So that's tomorrow for me. Yeah, so super powerful. So let's make something. All you have to do is explain to Claude or Codex, whatever like AI you're using, tell it what you want the skill to do and like when you want it to work. And if you can give it examples, that's even better. So there's a bunch of different ways to do this. So we're going to do a really quick example. I want a skill, or I want to build a skill that automatically, can't type today, changes the designs of HTMLs to match how, let's pick a company, whether that's like Apple. I should do Apple, Google. Let's just do Apple. Apple has a very distinct design. Match how Apple designs things like its apps, website, or devices. So this is super simple. You just open up Claude Code, and we are working in Claude Code. So if you want to build a skill, you want to do that in Claude Code. I've seen a lot of people design HTMLs and things like that in Claude Chat, which you can do that. But if you want to do anything besides just basic HTML, and you can do some actually pretty impressive HTMLs in Claude Chat, but if you want to build like a skill, you want to do that in Claude Code. So let's see, I'll build this as a personal skill modeled on your existing skill. Carolina, that's my wife. So we were doing some testing last night, and I was trying to explain some things to her to see like what things were obvious and like what questions she would have, because I figured other people would have similar questions because she's not like super into AI. And I made her a skill where it would like change the design of things, but it's like light, fluffy, yellow, airy kind of thing, and she liked that. So yeah, it'll model the existing skill that's already in there and then apply the Apple designs to it. Shouldn't take very long either. So another massive benefit to skills is they're very, very easy to share and copy from people or tweak them. So all a skill is like a folder of instructions that sit on your computer. And I had that earlier HTML up, which explained what the folder looks like. So the anatomy of the skill, we'll refresh that. It's literally a folder that runs on your, or that lives on your computer that the AI references. And the cool thing about folders are they're very easy to share with people. So let's say you make a very powerful skill that like does something great for your company, or like that's just really impressive. It's really easy just to share the contents, like share the folder with someone else. If that's in a OneDrive, they can go look at it, or you can just send it via email. And since it's just like markdown files, people can just go edit it. So like, let's say you have Bill's amazing best skill ever, and you want to share that with Bob. And if Bob wants to tweak it a little bit, he can. He can just have his Claude, he can point his Claude at the folder and be like, I love 95% of this. Let's go tweak this 5%. And all Claude will do is then go change the markdown file and the instructions and maybe some like code in there too if it needs to. But they're very, very easy to share. So that means they're very easy to leverage across teams. So a very powerful skill can be shared across a team very quickly. And Claude's still creating this skill, which is cool. So while that's running, I'm going to talk about some of the downsides to skills. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. While skills are very powerful, there are three things to keep in mind with them. One, they do cost tokens to run. So since like the AI is using the skill and the AI is the one running it, it does cost tokens and will cost money. But if you have a well-defined skill, you could definitely downgrade to a cheaper AI like a Sonnet 5 or something to run it. It just depends on how complex it is. If you want like a very complex, strong, like multi-step skill, you might want Opus or Fable running that. But if it's more simple, you can do Sonnet or Haiku running it as long as the instructions are very, very clear for them. So one, it costs tokens. Two, they're non-deterministic. So you can have things in there like code where it runs, like let's say that pull sales Python file, that will run the same no matter what every single time. But if we have Opus go then interpret those sales and make an HTML for you, it might make a different HTML every single time unless you have a preset template for it to use already in there. So they're not deterministic because the AI is the one writing them and like using them. So it can generate different outputs each time. So keep that in mind as well. And then three, to run skills requires AI to do them. So like I was talking about earlier, they cost tokens. That's because the AI has to do it. And when the AI is running, like you couldn't run this without internet or without Claude or Codex or something. Like you'd have to be plugged into the internet or on Wi-Fi or whatever, and then have your AI being the one run it. So like you can't just have a skill that runs locally on your computer without some form of AI being the thing to do it. So those are the three downsides. While skills are very powerful, they do cost money to run with tokens. They are inherently non-deterministic because AI is the thing doing them. And then three, you do need to be like plugged into AI for it to actually work. Okay, so I'm not sure how Apple-y this looks. I guess it somewhat is. But an important thing about skills, I said they're really easy to edit because there's markdown files, and all a markdown file is like plain English. Like AI loves reading plain English. So they're really easy to edit. So we're going to talk to you about tweaking this. Like, I want this to look more like Apple's glass. I think it's glass morphism style. And so it's important, like people get hung up on AI not one-shotting everything. It's important just to work with it and iterate and like get it down how you want it before you start sharing stuff. Like your first pass probably isn't going to be perfect. So it might take 2, 3, 4, 5 times just iterating on developing that skill to have one that like you actually are proud of and want to use. And I was talking to one of my buddies a couple days ago, and he was asking about skills, and he had one where he wanted to double check some numbers on a personal finance dashboard he was making. And he wondered if it'd be better just to have an overall like checking logic skill. And I was like, yeah, you can do that. Or an easy thing to do, like it's a dime a dozen to make these skills. You can just create one hyper specific thing for like what you're working on. If you want to check your data nonstop and make sure everything ties out, you can make a skill that just applies to like the current project you're working on. And then once you're done with that project, you can just delete the skill from your computer. You don't need to save it on there. It's just a folder. So you can just go and delete that folder, have Claude delete the folder for you. But these skills are like very easy to generate and really pretty quick to do. So I'd recommend if you have a very niche thing, make a niche skill for it and like get good results. Don't worry about generalizing everything because like you can make general skills really easily too if you need to. But if you're doing a hyper specific thing, let's say working on a project for a few weeks or a few months, just make a skill for that specific thing. Don't worry about being generalizable for everything. Also, something to keep in mind, all of these skills are read, like that little title and context at the very beginning that we talked about earlier, those are all read every single time you give a prompt to Claude. So let's open the folder structure again. And in looking at the SKILL.md, like this, it's called the YAML front matter. It's basically like YAML means yet another markdown language. And it's just like if you have your Claude account running, you have 20 skills in there, every single prompt, Claude is going to review that YAML front matter for those skills and see if what you gave it, if like your prompt would necessitate running one of these skills. So something to keep in mind, you don't want to have 10,000 skills on your computer because every single time you give a prompt to Claude, it's going to then use those tokens to like read that little YAML front matter and it'll overload it and it's going to cost you money and make your Claude like sessions or Codex sessions very inefficient. Okay. Still updating the Apple skill design thing, and I will delete this after because I really don't like Apple's current designs on things, the class version and stuff. But for the sake of this video, this will be pretty cool to see. Okay, it looks like it's done now. So let's do it. Try it on my S&P 500 HTML dashboard that I have. Let's see how this works. It's going to go find that and then apply the skill to it, but it should be pretty easy for it to do. Well, it opened it up. I guess it wasn't my OneDrive desktop. Let's see. It opened it up on my other screen, so I'm going to double click on that, open it. Okay, here we go. So it did apply that Apple design stuff to it. Not a great day in the market. You can see the index went down overall for the S&P 500, but pretty cool that it did apply that to the dashboard we made in the other video. So it's really easy to do this stuff. You just talk to your Claude Code or Codex, whatever tool you're using, have it apply things. You can make a skill out of almost anything you can think of. They're very powerful and very easy to do. But yeah, that is it. If you found that helpful, please share it with someone else. Thank you for watching. Okay, so I'm going to start with a new part of the video that I've been thinking about doing for a little while, and I'm trying to figure out whether it's better to make short videos or longer videos that are more detailed. So this part of the video is going to be the appendix, and I'm going to call it also Caroline's questions. My wife, Caroline, I've been explaining things to her, just like try to understand like what I'm missing when explaining things to people. And she'll ask like questions that I didn't think or that may not be obvious to people that have been using AI for a while, because you kind of forget what you've learned. But it's really helpful for understanding like what non-technical people, what questions they may have when using this stuff. So the first question Caroline asked was, is a skill like a specific type of code or like a set of rules? And essentially all like a skill is just markdown instructions. And all markdown is, and I can pull up an example. Oh shoot, let's see. Let's find one, markdown text examples. Get this up. So literally all markdown is it's just like, well, I guess my Chrome extension is working. It's just plain English formatted in a way that like it can be converted easily to other stuff. So like you can see here with like the create list with the dash, that then turns into bullets when it's like applied to like HTML and stuff. So markdown is just plain English, and LLMs, large language models, AI, love plain English. So there's nothing else fancy in there. They're just reading straight, like they're reading the language and they're rolling through it. So all, or for the most part, what skills are just markdown instructions. And then you can also have code run there too if you want, and then a template or other things. But essentially the instruction piece of skills is just markdown text. That was question number one. Question number two is, do you have to explicitly state to use it? And you can. I mean, you can try to have like your Claude intuit when to use. Like if I say like apply the Apple, apply the Apple design up here, it will know to do that, or it should be in there now. Yeah, Apple slash, if you use slash and then type out your skill like slash Apple design, it'll automatically know to apply it because you've invoked it. I like doing this because I have a lot of skills. I probably need to clean those up a little bit and remove some, but this way I know for sure it's going to apply the one I want it to do. So you can tell it to do it or it can intuit to do it. Another question she had was, how much example do you give like Claude or Codex when you're generating a skill? And honestly, the more you can, like if you have templates you use, if you give it to Claude, like, hey, I want this template to be used every single time, it'll then use those like going forward. So the more examples you can give it, like I was pretty generic with my Apple example, but the more detail and the more like assets, like if you give like a company logo you want it to use, like give it the actual .png for that logo, that's going to help it immensely. So the more detail, the better. The more examples, the better. The more templates and assets, the better. She also asked, can you edit it later? It's very easy to edit. It's just a folder in your computer, so you can point Claude to that folder, or you can tell it like, hey, I want to edit the Apple skill that we have on our computer, or I want to edit this other skill. It'll then go in and start like making the changes you want. So it's super easy to edit and to change things. Also, I mentioned this earlier, like deterministic versus non-deterministic things. And think of deterministic like if A and then B happens, C always happens. It's like logical things. It's how code works. Non-deterministic is like how AI works. And AI, so it doesn't spit out the same answers like word for word every single time. It has like a little bit of a, I think it's called temperature factor built into it. And what that means is like how kind of random it can be. So if you ask like what word comes next after basket to an AI, 9 times out of 10 it might say ball, and then on the 10th time it might say weaving, like basket weaving instead of basketball. And that is so like you don't get the exact same answer every single time, so it's not helpful for people if things are just whenever someone asks about a certain question, you get the exact same answer. Some things need to be like consistent, like what is the capital of France? Paris. That should be the answer every time. But sometimes I'd be like Paris, France, or whatever. Like it might add some flavor to it. So when I said earlier that AI is non-deterministic and it might produce different outputs, like if you have a skill that creates an HTML that shows your data, the AI might make that HTML slightly differently every time if you don't give it a template to go off of. So that's kind of the risk there. It can make some more creative things if you don't give it a template, but it will probably generate slightly different things every single time. Oh, and also a really powerful and easy way to find good skills is to go to GitHub. And for those people who do not know, GitHub is essentially where like 95% of the code that is used on the like internet is stored. So let's find GitHub skills, Claude. A lot of people will create good skills and put them on GitHub. So you can just go and grab them. So if you find a skill like I want like a, let's Google GitHub AI slop skill. And this is one of the ones I was like using earlier to make mine. If I like how this thing is set up, like if I like the idea and like what it does, you can just go grab that like URL, copy it, and paste it right into your Claude and be like, I want this skill now. Super easy to do. Claude works really well with GitHub. You can go grab things really easily. I kind of want to see what those other skills that were in there earlier. Let's see if there's any good ones. Claude Mem, understand anything. Oh, my open agent. Yeah, there's just a bunch of stuff. It's super easy to do. You just go, if you find one you like or it looks good for you, like some kind of beautiful dashboard, you can just go grab it, copy the URL, and drop it right in Claude. So GitHub's a super powerful resource. I can do a video on GitHub later if people find that interesting. Yeah, overall, skills are easy to generate or super easy to steal from. So very powerful, very good.